Hmm.
Okay, so this is episode 14 of Patroma and we're going to be talking about electricity because the last day we had a power surge which disrupted our communication, and we understood how important this part of our life is. And
Yeah, that's true. Here in Dallas, it's the north part of Texas, which is also part of Tornado Alley, Oklahoma and Kansas. We have a lot of tornadoes that come through here that disrupt the power, and we get a lot of blackouts. And then in the summertime, which we're in right now, people are using their air conditioners all day long, and then there could come an electric storm and just blow out the power grid if too many people are using their electricity, and then there's like a surge or like some thunderstorm comes through, and that's what happened. That's what happened yesterday. So
you said you're using air conditioners, and I immediately thought about the electricity bills you get and what the electricity means anyway. That is Greek word meaning amber, because it was first used to describe the effect of rubbing amber with a cloth. That's all I know about
ah,
electricity, except for the situation when that when you touch a metallic surface and get a mild electric shock from static discharge. That's my experience.
right, right, right. Well, I know that you know in Texas we have electric providers who these middlemen or these middle people that do the billing, and they have these credits. Like if you can't pay your electric bill, you can apply for a credit, and so you can use it, but then you get a credit. So there's all these different ways of sort of squirreling with the bill. But yeah, in Dallas we get up to 102, 103, 104 degrees in the summertime, so electric bills can be pretty high. And yeah, like you said, when we think about where electricity comes from, I just know that there's all these big generators and electrical. They're kind of like the whole block full of all these like gadgets and towers and things. And supposedly it's supposed to be disruptive to your circadian rhythms to
Exactly,
li
exactly.
live near one of li near live to live near one of these power
Or
stations.
not necessarily live near these power stations, but also it keeps you up all night. For instance, if you using your iPhone or tablet, and because internal clock is not always in sync with the external life, uh,
Right,
because of that.
right. Well, supposedly, electricity actually extends daylight. So, a couple hundred years ago, maybe people were using candles to extend daylight, or maybe they were working on farms or out on the land, and then they'd come in and they'd have dinner, and the family would gather around. And then after dinner, maybe somebody had a book and they would read out loud from the book, and people would listen. So, no one had a radio, no one had a television, no one had a, Netflix. So the idea of maybe after the day was done, but you still wanted to do a little bit of something, you'd need to have some light because it's already dark outside, the sun had gone down. So I think candles were important, and I like candles. I like aromatherapy candles. I mean, what does that mean, therapy? It just means I feel better when I see candles and smell candles. And yeah, so I like candles, but nowadays we have electricity, which means after the sun goes down, we can stay up individually, or we can all stay up in our own room, or somebody could be upstairs, somebody could be downstairs, someone could be outside, on their iPhone, they could be watching Netflix on their laptop. A lot of cars have, the built-in little TVs. You can be constantly with a screen in front of you,
Mm.
constantly with a screen,
I like these
and that
energy efficient things like candles too. I like how you light it in the night and it takes you back in time.
yeah, it takes you back. Even it's not like 100,000 years ago. It's it's just like I don't know. I know when I was growing up, we traveled around the United States some, And I remember my father's family was from Ohio, and we went on a family trip to go see this farm where he had grown up, and they had animals, and they had a barn, and they had candles, and they made their own jam and jelly and bread, and I just remember it was such a different world. Like no one was sitting around watching television all the time, and they had radios, but no one was listening to radios. They were actually doing things. It was so different because I wasn't used to being out in nature so much.
Besides the candlelight, I'm sure much more healthier than artificial light.
Well, supposedly fluorescent lights disturb brain activity. It's really, really bad. And I just know personally, um, I have given some little talks on child rearing or, you know, healthy lifestyle and some things like that. So I don't advocate microwaves. I don't advocate cell phones, and I don't advocate, fluorescent lights because when cell phones first came out, you know, a signals or something is being transmitted. If it can go through walls and stuff like that, lots of people carry their cell phones in their hip pocket or in their back pocket, and it's going through flesh, it's going through organs. I mean, I had all these bizarre, I have had these theories of the damage to our physical body by having a cell phone on you all the time, using microwaves all the time, and standing under fluorescent lights. So whenever I would move to a new apartment, the first thing I would do is I would go around and like tape down a portion of the light switches so we weren't using them all the time. And then also take out, unplug anything that's fluorescent, and if there's a microwave, take it out, unplug it, and just put it away. I don't want the microwave talking to me.
That's right. And also, if you go to bed, well, it's not about how late you go to bed these days, it's about how late you shut down your iPhone or your tablet.
Another thing I think I've noticed, especially during this pandemic, where we're not doing as much physical activity. Like I used to go to the gym, I used to go walking or running around White Rock Lake. I used to do a lot, go up the stairs someplace. Like there's a lot, everything's become more sedentary. So even though the day is done, I haven't really expended any energy. I'm not really physically tired. I'm mentally tired. like I've been on my laptop, I've been on the phone, but my body hasn't really done anything, so it's very hard to get to sleep, which means I'll look at my phone, more awful news, or reading some like scandalous something, or reading some awful science. It's just, you would think that a person could just go to sleep, and that, the title of this episode is electricity on or off. Is it really a good thing that we have this extended daylight that can go on and on and on? I mean,
I think
some
that's a
people are,
problem. I think electric light, that's extended light, disrupts human, circadian rhythmicity, and I think that's a problem. I'm not ready to advocate the electricity, how important it is in our lives, but uh,
well, I had heard something about 2, 3 years ago. I travel sometimes up to Manhattan, sometimes to Portland, sometimes to Houston, El Paso. I have traveled a bit, and I had read that in Manhattan they were having these things. Well, first of all, they were having oxygen bars where you could go hook into your head or nostrils some different types of oxygen from around the world. And then they also have these things called dark restaurants where you would go in and everything is dark. So let's suppose you're on a date or you're with a friend or something. We're going to a restaurant and we're there, and so we can't see the food, and that supposedly concentrates our other senses, like on what it feels like. Can you imagine eating in the dark? Heck no.
with
At
a little
least put
bit
a
of light,
candle on
like
the.
if you light one candle, I think it makes it romantic.
Yeah, romantic is fine, but what do you mean we're going to go into dark restaurants? I mean, only New York would think of that stuff. Sorry, New Yorkers. Well, when you were growing up in your family, did you have candles around? Did you
I
have a
still do
bedtime?
have
It had
some
to
of
be a
them. Yeah,
bed.
I still do. I like them very much, and you know that I have this rural residence, and they often cut out the electricity down there, and then I lit up my candles, and it makes me think of the times past, of the olden times, and um, as I told you before, it takes me back in time, and I think of all those. I even, sometimes I even go out at night and look. When was the last time you looked at the stars? I'm sure it was like a
Uh,
long time ago. No,
was last night.
last night. Well, you're
Well, see,
happy
I'm
because
different.
like I haven't.
Well, because we had a full moon, and I live up near a lake, and we have some clean and clear air here. Wind blows in off the lake, birds fly in off the lake, so the air is a little bit cleaner, and sometimes things are clearer. And I just remember that there was a full moon, so I just went and I looked to see if I could see it. But I mean, a lot of people just go. They never look up at the sky. A lot of people don't look at the sky.
Well, because they have electricity. That's why I am so conspicuous, or what the word for
Suspicious.
suspicious, exactly. Suspicious for the whole thing. Again, I've recently came across this article, this study about circadian rhythm, and I got extremely interested in all them. And I think there is something going on that we don't understand yet because of these diseases we start to have all over the world, which coincided somehow with the invention of electricity and all that.
Well, I know that when the natural rhythm of things is disrupted, it's going to have some sort of change. So, for example, naturally waking up when the sun is up, that's not going to work, especially if you've got to be at work and you've got to get on a freeway and you're commuting and you have to park and go upstairs and be in your office, turn on your laptop, sign in and be ready to go to work. You just can't wake up in a leisurely manner. And I know that some people, even on their day off, they can't sleep in. Their body is so wound up and wired that even on their days off, let's suppose people work Monday through Friday during, pre-pandemic times, even on their day off, Saturday or Sunday, they can't sleep in. Their body just like wakes up and is just like hyperactive to check their phone or look at what's online or who texted them. It's a very different world than even 10 years ago.
I wonder if we have any circadian rhythm specialists among our audience.
Um, well, actually, I don't know. Maybe someone that's in medical or someone that is in. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. We'll have to wait and see. I know that the eye has these receptors in it, and it measures light, and that these rods that are trying to figure out, is it night or is it day. So if you're exposed to anything that has these blue rods, a computer screen, a laptop, a TV, that signals your brain to stay awake. And then there's also these other clocks in your brain, like if you're going to stay awake, your heart needs to keep beating. You know, if you're going to go to sleep, the signal is for your heartbeat to slow down. So if all the information going to the body is to stay awake, it's kind of hard to go to sleep.
Correct.
I
What
mean,
time do you?
I've also heard that some people like to sleep with white noise. They have a machine that makes ambient noise so they can go to sleep.
Well, you should get
Yep.
6 to 7 hours of sleep every day, that's for sure.
You do?
Well, everyone should.
Yeah, well,
I'm not a sleep
I mean,
expert by any means, of course, but maybe it's just me.
well, I think that it used to be recommended was 8 hours, and even for like teenagers that were still growing and developing, they're supposed to get sleep. But teenagers and college students are notorious for being up all the time, doing things online all the time. So the way in which we develop, from children, babies to children to adolescents to adults, just the normal sequence of development has been disrupted.
You
And
mentioned
go ahead, go ahead.
you mentioned candles before, and I just is there such a phrase? Don't burn the candle at both ends.
Yeah,
What
there
does it
is.
What does it even mean? I don't
What
understand.
does it mean? Don't burn the candle at both ends.
It's sarcastic or what?
Don't burn the candle. I don't know. But don't burn the candle at both ends. I don't
Don't burn the
know.
candle at both ends. Probably don't overdo. Maybe that's what it means.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Well, I know that, candlelight has associations. Like it has, like a candlelight dinner is supposed to be romantic. Sometimes in the fall season, they might have like a bonfire. They might have like for Halloween, they carve out a pumpkin and put a candle in it to glow, and they put that
Maybe.
on the porch. So, we have some positive associations with candles and light. And I know that some families, when they decorate their homes for Christmas, they might use real little tiny candles on the tree. I know that my father grew up on a farm, and I have a very fond memory of him telling me when he was a little boy, they would have a few little candles on these metal clips, and they would put them on the tree, and you would just sit there, watch them for a few minutes, and then you would blow the candles out. And the next night you might do it again, but real candles. And I think in Germany they have some of those little those types of Christmas decorations. So illuminating the darkness has some romantic and nostalgic value to us. And I know that as I was growing up, I know that after dinner, we lived in Virginia for a while, and after dinner, my father would wander off and do something in another room. My mother would be washing dishes, and we'd go outside, and it was dark, and you could see these lightning bugs, little bugs they fly, and they have like a little small light on their back side of them, and we used to chase them, and we would get a jar, poke holes in the top of the lid, and we would catch these lightning bugs, and we'd make kind of like a little lantern. And it's a very fond memory I have as a child. But you don't really see a lot of them around. But I have seen some in Dallas around the lake. But generally in the big cities, you don't see lightning bugs.
No, you don't. That's a good point. Those are golden times.
Do they have lightning bugs out in your country place, your summer house?
I'm sure there are. I haven't seen them for a while, but I've seen a bat
A
a week ago.
bat?
Yes, go figure. But the lightning bugs, no.
Okay, okay. Um, Another thing I was thinking about was that when we had this power surge, the other day, what exactly happened at your end? I know what happened over here.
Well, we spoke, and
What?
then the light turned off. The light got gone out here, and the line dropped dead.
But what caused it?
I think it was a power surge. What else could it be? Or
It was
Chinese?
what? It was okay. I just looked up burning the candle at both ends. It's an expression that means to work too hard.
Yeah, I told
It's
you.
too
Probably it
hard.
means
Yeah,
not
too
overdo.
yeah, and it's too hard for your own health, and too much work for your own peace of mind. So yeah, I mean,
I like it.
supposedly at night resting is supposed to bring peace and restoration, but like I wake up many mornings like was that called sleep? Oh my gosh, just get me a cup of coffee. And then I
I'm
just
going
go
to.
through the day,
Uh,
do the same thing. Yeah.
I'm going to bed now, but that doesn't mean turning off my tablet.
Right. You're just going to go to another room and just do more of the same thing, right?
I'm gonna disrupt my circadian rhythm. Abuse it.
Well, it's very hard. It's very hard. Like sometimes my phone doesn't have the charge in it. Like I'm having like a mild anxiety attack because I'm waiting for a phone call, or I'm trying to check up on something. And if my phone is not working, if the charge isn't there, I really feel agitated. And I shouldn't, right?
Well,
I should just put my phone
of
down and
course.
go to sleep.
That's why we have this patrol therapy, just to help each other, because that's what friends are for.